We have new developments to tell you tonight about an unsettling story that continues to unfold. A woman dying in police custody at the airport. Now, right now, we're awaiting results from an official autopsy, although the family is planning to conduct their own autopsy. They also say that the woman was, in their words, manhandled. In just a moment, my exclusive interview with two witnesses to the initial confrontation between police and the woman who ended up dying in handcuffs. First, let's get you up to speed on the story. Was it an accident, suicide, or something else that killed Carol Gotbaum? Here's what we know. Last Friday, the 45-year-old mother of three was at the Phoenix airport on a short layover to Tucson. She was headed to an alcohol treatment center. Authorities say Gotbaum was late for her plane. Witnesses say she became disruptive. Phoenix police stationed at the airport were called and arrested Gotbaum for disorderly conduct. She was handcuffed behind her back and taken to a holding cell without a surveillance camera. Police say after, she continued to be vocally and physically disruptive in the holding room. Her handcuffs were connected to a 16-inch metal chain that was attached to a bench. About 15 minutes later, police report her screams fell silent, and when they checked on her, they found Gotbaum unconscious, her hands and the shackle pressed against her neck. She died a short time later. Mel Patel and Paige Harmon were at the airport, and they witnessed what happened between the police and Gotbaum in the terminal, and we didn't contact them. They called us to talk about what they'd seen. I spoke to them by phone earlier from Hawaii. Here's the 360 exclusive. Mel, you saw Gotbaum before her confrontation with the police. What was she doing? I mean, what was her behavior like?
Well, what attracted my attention was we were switching gates to go and catch our next flight, and I heard a scream just as I was basically coming to the end of one of the moving sidewalks, and of course, naturally, I turned my head, and I saw her laying on the carpeting in the entrance to the concourse, basically sort of just screaming and kicking, but there was nobody around her. It's like she either had fallen or had tripped or something was my first impression. It turned out, of course, that she was just laying there.
And was she screaming, saying something, or just yelling?
No, she was just kind of yelling, "Oh, no, no!" And then she said, "Stay away, stay away." But then she immediately stood up, and there was a kiosk maybe 15 feet away from her, a podium actually, where there were a couple of officers off to my right, looking down the concourse. They sort of looked at her and, what's happening? Why is this going on? First out of confusion, and then they sort of walked towards her a little bit, did nothing, and she kept saying, screaming. Then all of a sudden she said, "Don't call me a terrorist. Don't call me a terrorist. I'm not a terrorist. I had nothing to do with that. I don't know anybody. I don't even know anybody who's a terrorist. I've never even met any people that are those types of people." And it was a very strange, bizarre situation. The police made no effort whatsoever to try to calm her down, though.
And at some point, I understand she pulled up her shirt a little bit to kind of show authorities she wasn't hiding anything? Is that right?
Yeah, she was wearing a pair of jeans, a white blouse that, best to describe it, would be like one button at the bottom was undone, and she sort of flipped up the ends of that to show her bare midriff that she had nothing underneath that, a belt or anything, or to wearing anything, patted her arms down, which were sleeveless, and said, "I have nothing on me, nothing on me," and she basically was showing that she didn't even have a purse.
So, Paige, how did you respond? Or actually, you were watching this whole thing unfold as well. How did the police respond?
One of the officers ran towards her and grabbed her, and then the two other officers came up, and they, one threw her to the ground, and then it was as if they were tackling her. One of them pulled her arm behind her with extreme force. I thought that they were going to, or they had separated her shoulder. It looked very, very forceful. Anyway, and then in all of this, somebody, one of the officers leaned down and pressed on her back, and then all of them were on her, almost like they did a football tackle hold, and they got the handcuffs on her. And then an officer came up to us and said, move it along, this isn't anything for you to witness or for you to see." And so we we reluctantly walked away.
Was she resisting arrest in any way?
Oh yes, she was she was resisting this greatly.
Mel, did you think she was a threat to anyone? I mean, did you feel threatened by her?
Not. Absolutely not. She was coherent. She wasn't vulgar. She said she was relatively very steady on her feet. Actually, she wasn't weaving. She didn't appear to be drunk or anything like that. She just was very demonstrative.
You thought the police response was, what, excessive?
Very excessive. They rushed in and grabbed her and threw her down. Nobody ever said anything to her. Lady, hey, calm down, take a breath, can I help you, what's wrong, anything like that.
And Paige, when you heard she had died, what went through your mind?
Oh, we were absolutely shocked. We just couldn't believe this, and we were thinking once again that what happened in the airport was so excessive that it was just a great big shock to us.
Well, it's such a bizarre story, and we're still trying to figure out all the details. Paige, appreciate you talking, and Mel as well. Thanks so much.